End of month summary, November 2020.
Hello and welcome to the first EOMS, that stands for End of Month Summary, where I talk about what pickups I got for the collection, what I played this month, what I reviewed along with if I have anything to add since those reviews, and any major news that came out during this month. I do intend on doing these every month, aiming to upload them on the first day of the month or start of the next month, but enough of that, let's dive in. Pickups I got this month were pretty hectic, as the next generation of consoles did launch this month. With that, I got a PS5 console, complete in the box, along with 3 of the launch titles: Spider-Man Miles Morales, Demon's Souls, and Sackboy: A Big Adventure. Earlier this month, I picked up a PSvr headset with 2 Move controllers, the PSvr demo disc, Trevor Saves the Universe, and Skyrim VR. On the less exciting side of pickups, I got Gang Beasts for PS4, a game that I faintly remember from the early days when PewDiePie was still making gaming videos. And lastly, the most recent pickup, and I'm assuming a lot of you will likely scoff at this, but I also picked up the collector's edition of The Last of Us Part 2. And why do I think this is amusing? Well, the game came out back in June, and its collector's edition is still in stock. The game wasn't well received by most except critics who are probably cuddling their Neil Druckmann body pillow close to them at night. But starting this year, I decided to break the habit of forming opinions from general consensus and actually play the games or watch the movies/series before I form any opinion. Hopefully I will start reviewing movies and maybe anime soon in the future. That being said, this is a long game, like 30 hours long, and my plate is already a bit full, so it'll have to wait, but I'm sure I'll bring it up in any EOMSs when I actually do get around to playing it. Now, I didn't pay full price for this massive box, but despite that, I still feel a bit ripped off. The little collectibles are cute, and the steelbook and artbook were nice additions, but the main reason for this box being priced as high as it is the statue, and I'm disappointed. It really misses out on the little details. This is mainly the reason why I don't pick up these collector's editions anymore with the statues, because they're usually the quality of McDonald's toys, and I have gotten a few in the past. And I know that the reason this package is so pricey is because of the statue, but comparing this to my Johnny Silverhand figure just leaves me wishing for more. Of course, we're comparing a unknown brand of statue to a McFarlane brand statue, so from there I should have had my expectations lowered a bit. Gang Beast was fun for a little bit, but this is definitely the kind of game you have to have friends over for, as the single player content was definitely not the focus. As for the PSvr, I'm the kind of guy who gets motion sickness pretty easy. I can't even play Half-Life 2 on PC because of it, sadly. It's looking more hopeful, as I don't nearly get as headstrong with the PSvr as I did with Half-Life 2, or when I did once use an Oculus and pretty much had to lie down dead on the floor for half an hour because of the major headache I got from it. But either way, I'll have to build up some tolerance before I can really dive into these games. As mentioned in my PS5 videos, I've had a blast so far with this console and its games. I'm really excited to play and talk about all the upcoming releases next year, like Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart, the new God of War, Destruction All-Stars, The Returnal, The Stray. The list goes on and on, and I'm so hyped for it. Despite doing a lot of pickups, I don't always play everything, which is why my backlog has been sharpening its knife since 2019. So, what did I play this month? Well, I tried my hand in PSvr, but I didn't get too deep into that. I popped back into Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2 for a while, and I'm still having a lot of fun with that game. The same with Mario 3D All-Stars, just casually popping in a few times, but I've never had this many problems with a game's camera and control scheme, especially one from a major company like Nintendo. I've had fun, and this is the first time I've ever experienced Sunshine, and it's safe to say I can see why people don't shut up about this game. It's still really fun, and now that they finally added GameCube controller support, I'm considering getting one of those just to have a somewhat more genuine experience similar to the original. Or I could just, fork out 100 and actually play it on my actual GameCube, but that's besides the point. The big waiting game this month was the PS5, and it paid off in full. Astro's Playroom, a tech demo that's more than a tech demo. Check out my review for that game after this one. Spider-Man Miles Morales, an excellent standalone game to hold us off until the eventual sequel. Demon's Souls, a game in a series that I've always wanted to get into but struggled with. Along with that, Sony made the first PS5 exclusive PS Plus game, Bugsnax. I've sunk a considerable amount of time into this game and eventually did get the platinum. I was in two minds about reviewing it and decided not to because I can pretty much summarize my feelings for it in a very short form. If I had to give some form of thought or review, I would say that it's a game that I did have fun with. The sound design was great along with the music and it suited what it was going for quite well. The gameplay mechanics are a lot deeper than what you'd expect, with the gadgets in the game being able to be used in tandem for multiple ways to catch Bugsnax. That doesn't always work very well, but still I had fun. This game looks either rushed, unfinished, or poorly designed visually. Maybe a combo of all three. It looks on par with Orc Slayer graphics-wise, a very cheap PS4 PSN game. I can see what design they were going for, but it just ends up looking pretty ugly. But it does control well, and actually has better use of haptic feedback and triggers than in Spider-Man Miles Morales. More on the lines of how it was demonstrated in Astro's Playroom, with the distinct vibrations while walking on different surfaces in the game. So I'm pretty mixed on my feelings for this game. It has lots of really good things and a lot of potential, but loses quality elsewhere. I would say that it's more of a guilty pleasure than anything else, and I really do have high hopes for a sequel if that actually does end up getting off the ground, or something of the sorts, because they did set up a bit of a cliffhanger at the end. Sort of in the style of an MGS game, actually. But by far, the thing that I hated the most about the game was the fact that it didn't have any sort of fast travel. The game had to load every single time you entered a new area, which wasn't too much of a problem, as the game only did take about 6 seconds to load up a new area, but you'd have to be walking through these areas constantly for just one thing, and it makes the whole experience very monotonous. And I thought that with the PS5 this was meant to become a thing of the past. So what's my guess for this game's rushed appearance and certain optimizations? I'd say 75% of the budget went to Cara Cara Bonita to make the game's trailer music. Or more likely that it was rushed to meet the deadline for it to become a PS5 game on PS Plus. If I'd have to score it, I'd say it'd be around a solid 6, maybe a 6.8, maybe even stretching off to a 7. There is something that I really like about this game, but it has lots of glaring issues that make it hard to embrace. I do think there's a lot of potential for this concept, and I am expecting a lot more good things from the studio moving forward. Now, I somehow managed to keep up with my commitment to Overwatch and completed all the tiers of the Symmetra Restoration Challenge. I wasn't expecting this challenge, but I'm guessing that the Overwatch devs do have to give players something to do since they've held back new characters and maps for the sequel that apparently should be coming out next year. I have a love-hate relationship for Overwatch. It was my first multiplayer-only experience after sticking to only single-player games, and to this day, I've never gotten this deep into a multiplayer-only game like I have with Overwatch. I'm confident in saying that you will more than likely hear at least a brief mentioning of this game in other EOMS videos like updates and events, and I'll probably generalize my feelings if there are strong feelings towards any updates or events in the game. I didn't take too much note of major news this month, which I'll work on more when the next EOMS in December comes out. The only news that I can think of from memory that I had strong feelings for was the Cyberpunk delay, which actually relieved me because November was already a pretty massive month for content creators and gamers alike, and I chose a doozy of a month to start with. At the time of writing this, I've already reviewed Astro's Playroom, Spider-Man Miles Morales, and the Demon's Souls video would have already been out by the time I'm making this video. I'm still confident in the scores and opinions I gave for these games, mainly the Demon's Souls video. I think I could have worded different and structured a bit different, as I was pretty much just petrified of the Soulsborne community when I was making that video, being a fairly new person into the series. Across the board, all of these games would at least mark a 9, and Astro's Playroom is a strong recommendation. It's a lot better than the PS4 launch, which hopefully Sony does keep this streak up, and hell, I even hope Microsoft takes the gloves off and get competitive as well. As for the upcoming month, I was thinking about taking my time with Cyberpunk by, instead of giving myself a 1 week to play the game, write the review and make the video, I was instead going to give myself 2 weeks, pretty much a whole week to play the game, and then 1 week where I'll play maybe a little bit more and then write the review and make the video. So potentially there might be 1 week where there's no videos, but I do have time to squeeze in a review of Sackboy: A Big Adventure before that video comes out, or before Cyberpunk comes out more so. After that, other than the Scott Pilgrim vs. the World Complete Edition, Cyberpunk will be the major video for next month. After that video comes out for Scott Pilgrim, I'll more than likely be taking the rest of the year off and getting back to video making when 2021 rolls in. Of course, with the EOMS for the year. I hope you guys have had a great month, and I know that a lot of you are probably furious because of the rampant scalper problem, making this generation's launch, in my opinion, an absolute mess. But I hope you've enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys when I'm saving Craftworld as a classic PlayStation icon in Sackboy: A Big Adventure. See you around.